Anyways, good morning, and it really is a pleasure to welcome Senator James Alesi here to Gracie Mansion. I call him Jim, but James Alesi is one of those people that I think has shown courageous leadership on marriage equality, and I invited him here today to say thank you. I think it's fair to say that his decision to become the first Republican to publicly announce his support for marriage equality was the tipping point in the debate. He paved the ways for others to follow and for one of the most important pieces of legislation in New York's history to be passed. It was clear that Senator Alesi wanted to do the right thing, no matter what the politics were. And I think if every elected official approached every vote the way Senator Alesi approached the vote on marriage equality, we'd have a lot less partisan gridlock and a lot more progress, and that's true in Albany as well as in Washington. I'm sure it was not an easy decision for him, but it was a clear decision, and his willingness to make it is a testament, I think, to the strength and integrity of his character. Senator, I think you will go down in the history books as the legislator who helped turn the tide on marriage equality, not only here in New York State, but I think that this is going to spread across the country, because marriage equality is not only gaining popular momentum nationally, it is gaining support in both parties, and that's how it should be, because marriage equality is part of America's long march towards our own founding ideals and the more perfect union that we constantly seek. New York has always helped lead that march, and last week, thanks to Senator Alesi and Governor Cuomo, and particularly Dean Scalise and Shelley Silver, everyone who supported this legislation, this state did again what it should be doing, leading the way towards a more perfect union. Senator, would you like to say a few words?
Those are very kind words. Thank you, Mayor.
Good
morning, Bill. Well, thank you. Anyway, as the Mayor correctly pointed out, this is something that should not just be happening here in New York State, although it has to happen somewhere, it has to start somewhere. It has already started in some states, but this is such a significant state, as we all know. It is my commitment to try to spread the word based on what's at the core of my being, especially after having to take a political vote, which you can explain all day, but 2 years ago I had to vote no on this for political reasons. That was very, very anguishing for me. It really tore me apart inside, and I promised myself that I would vote yes no matter what the next time. And the next time was just a few days ago, and I did vote yes. And in doing that, I said to many of the advocates and my constituents from back home that we need to address this as a starting point, as a national effort, and I'm committed to doing that. I would like to be an emissary, and the reason is pretty simple. I believe that if you want to be free, if you think you're free, you can't be free unless everyone else is free. If you want equality, you can't have equality unless you treat others equally. And this is what we've done with this bill. We've extended freedom and equality, the basic tenets of what we believe in America. We've extended freedom and equality to those people who have waited so courageously, so patiently, so fervently, committed to this effort, and we have now delivered that. So, Mayor, thank you again for your kind words, and I do appreciate the support that you have given me in this.
Thank you. We'll be happy to take some questions if anybody has any, sir.
Senator, have you felt any pushback from your Republican colleagues, and do you fear any political ramifications for your vote?
Well, there was pushback before, and actually there was pushback during and after, so yes, there has been pushback. But let me say this about the Republican Party. We maintain that we are a big tent party and that we want to be inclusive. We are the party of Abraham Lincoln. So there are some people that are rigidly opposed to this, and some, like myself, that are fervent proponents of marriage equality. And I think that kind of pushback is natural in a party like the Republican Party, where you have quite a collection of political views under one big tent. My job now is just to help them keep the tent pitched and keep the doors open.
Senator, to the fact that none of your colleagues who voted yes on gay marriage have really spoken out on it, they just voted that way. and then walked away. Is that something we should read in anything?
I don't read anything into that. I read into my own level of commitment and my own feelings on this issue, which developed a long time ago. You know, some people come to conclusions on how they're going to vote and how they feel as they go through the process. But as I said earlier, I made a promise to myself 2 years ago that I would vote yes on this.
Senator, could you share with us what we talked about before in terms of what response you've gotten from your constituents since last Friday?
Yes, of course, I'd be happy to. I've been asked this question many times, and I told the mayor earlier that probably 9 out of 10 people that make the effort to come up and talk to me back in the district and even in the Capitol, 9 out of 10 of those people are very favorable, very positive, very supportive, and they are friends, they are families, they're members of the LGBT community, they are co-workers, and really it's surprising to me how many people have been so encouraging and so positive in their response.
Yes, Mr.
Senator, you said you had to vote no in 2009. Was it a decision that was made by your leader, Senator Skelos, that nobody would vote in favor of same-sex marriage in 2009?
I think if you know anything about the way Leader Skelos operates, he operates with a consensus in our conference, and it was a conference decision to remain as one block. And again, you know, I stress the politics of how we live. We do live in a political world, and you know, I'm sorry to say, but that was one of the things that we had to do as an effort to come back as a majority, which we did. And so by being in the majority, you can also give Senator Skelos credit for being a Republican leader of the state Senate and bringing this bill to the floor.
Now, when you decided to say that you would support same-sex marriage, like I think 2 Mondays or 3 Mondays ago, it was no doubt it built momentum. You came out and sorry for that using and then Senator McDonald the next day said that he would support the bill. Was it planned that way, that on Monday you would come out and to help build up momentum?
It was self-orchestrated mostly, but I knew that the governor still had to get 3 Democrats to come on board. As you know, and I'm sure I frustrated a lot of you. Hi there. I remained undeclared, not undecided, and some people thought it was not fair that I wouldn't say how I was going to vote, even though I said I knew how. And undeclared was hard for the press corps and other people to fathom that. But I had to give him the opportunity to convince others, because otherwise, you know, they might have said, well, you've got AlesiNYC, so you don't really need my vote. And so it was orchestrated by myself, but I think knowing how the governor had to approach it from his end.
Yes, sir.
There was word that from Mike Long earlier in the week that if any Republican had voted in favor of same-sex marriage, that he'd primary any senator who voted for that. Do you fear a primary challenge, and how do you plan to fight it?
Well, you know, you take all of those things into consideration. We live in a political world, as I keep saying, and, you know, I did call my chairman in Monroe County, and I gave him a courtesy call. And I think shortly thereafter, within a matter of a few seconds, we had an understanding that our relationship was over. But I strongly feel, and I mean this, I can't tell you how strongly I feel in my heart and in my soul that this is the right thing to do. So I knew that I would lose that endorsement based on what had been pre-announced, and I was willing to take that step. But I do believe that I have new friends and I have new supporters. And I go back to what I just said. In my district, you can't believe the number of people that come up to me and speak favorably on my actions.
Senator,
Wait, we'll just take everybody.
As someone who supported the Republican conference in the state Senate, how do you feel that there weren't more people who voted for this?
There were enough. That's all that mattered. And I think you start out with Jim and the other 3, and you certainly have to add Dean Skelos. In the end, it was Skelos' decision whether to bring this to the floor. If he had not brought it to the floor, it wouldn't have happened. It was at least 3 out of the 4 Republicans. If they hadn't voted for this, it wouldn't have happened. And I think that you know, they stood up, not as Republicans, the other voters not as Democrats, but as Americans and as New Yorkers trying to do what's right. And that's what good government is all about. And I will support those who I believe doing the right thing for America and for the world, and particularly for New York State and New York City. And I've done that before. Somebody asked me today about a guy who just came to work for Bloomberg, Craig Johnson, who I had disagreed with. He was a senator from Long Island. He came out and stood up for charter schools, and I called him up and I said, you know, I haven't agreed with you in anything, but this is so important. You did something that was courageous, and I'm going to support you. And I did. Unfortunately, he didn't get reelected. I campaigned for him. I think I must have given him some money, raised some money for him. But he was a classy guy, and I wasn't about to let him go to some other company. I was thrilled to see my company hired him. I didn't have anything to do with that, but when I was told they were talking to him, I had a big smile on my face. I think when you have good people like that, you want them working for you. Other questions? Yes, sir?
Just wondering whether do you expect to face a primary in the next go around?
If I were running against Jim Alesi, I wouldn't rule that out. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Had you made any contact with Chairman Long about the primary?
No, I know Mike Long. I think he's a principled guy. Michael Long is somebody that has his beliefs, and he fights for those beliefs. I don't agree with him on a number of those things, but there are a lot of things that I do agree with Michael Long, and I think Michael Long and his whole family have given an awful lot to the state and this city. And I would tell you, while I don't agree with him, I'd still call him a personal friend. I hope he'd say that. I know his wife would, but I think he would too. Any yes, Ms.?
I just wanted to go back to the margin by which the vote passed. Senator Alesi, you said you expected at least 35 votes to pass gay marriage. Were you disappointed that not more of your Republican colleagues stood up with you on that?
Well, as the mayor said, we had enough, and I think that that answers the question.
Actually, more than enough.
We had more than enough. Yes, we had more than enough. But that was a guess, and I was off by 2, so I'm not disappointed by that in any way, shape, or form. You have to remember that we worked very closely. I think you were in Albany. We had a very long conference, and you can guess, and until you have the opportunity to talk with people on an extended basis, then you get to see their points of view, and you can see the things that they're embracing. So I obviously coming out of there, I knew exactly what the count was going to be, but 35 was a guess, and so I was off a little bit. And
Any other marriage equality questions?